Something is breaking inside the Atlanta Falcons locker room, you can feel it, even from the outside. A season that once felt steady is suddenly shaking, collapsing under the weight of one brutal injury after another. And now the question is no longer should the Falcons make a major change. It's how long can they survive if they don't? Because right now, Atlanta is standing on a cliff. Michael Penix Jr. gone for the season again, another heartbreaking stop in a career filled with unbelievable setbacks. Drake London, the heartbeat of this offense, now week to week and practically ruled out for the Saints game. The locker room feels like a hospital ward, and the season is still far from over. But then there's a quiet spark of hope. A familiar face returning. Divine Diablo, the fire of this defense, finally back on the field after weeks of waiting. And his return feels like the only good news in a week filled with bad ones. But even that doesn't hide the truth everyone in Atlanta is whispering. This team is about to enter the storm with almost no weapons left. Which brings us to the man standing in the middle of all this chaos, Kirk Cousins. He didn't expect his season to look like this. Falcons fans didn't expect it either. But here he is, back in the starting role, his future with Atlanta hanging by a thread. And the question hits like a cold wind, who is he supposed to throw to now? With London out. Mooney still battling injuries. Kyle Pitts disappearing for entire stretches of games. And the wide receiver depth chart looking like a ghost town. It almost feels like Cousins is being handed a mission with no map, no weapons, and no backup. Every name after Pitts and Mooney feels like a gamble. Special teams guys. Practice squad fill-ins. Players who haven't made an impact all year. The cupboard is bare, and every team in the league knows it. But here's the truth no one wants to admit: the Falcons have help, they just refuse to use it. There are 3 young receivers sitting on the practice squad right now. Fresh legs. Fresh hunger. A spark this offense desperately needs. Nick Nash. Chris Blair. Dylan Drummond. Names most fans barely know, but names that might be the only shot this offense has left. Why are they still sitting? Why hasn't even one of them been activated when the roster is falling apart? Atlanta begged to see Kobe Bryant, and when he finally got his chance, he proved he was worth it. Now the same thing needs to happen with these receivers. Because outside of Kyle Pitts, the passing game is practically silent. Pitts had 2 catches for 14 yards last week, and he was the best of the bunch. Mooney was supposed to be the reliable number 2. Instead, injuries and drops have held him to 224 yards on the season. Casey Washington, hyped all offseason, has vanished. The whole receiving core looks exhausted, predictable, and easy to defend. This team needs new blood. This team needs energy. This team needs someone who plays like they're fighting for their career, because these young guys are. And the cost? Practically nothing. A few practice squad activations. A few roster decisions. Pennies in NFL money. But the Falcons' season might depend on those pennies. So the real question is simple: will the Falcons finally pull the trigger? Will they activate these young receivers and give this offense a pulse again, or will they go into the Saints game with a bare-bones roster and hope for a miracle? Because right now, Atlanta isn't just battling injuries. They're battling time, confidence, and the fear that this season could slip away before anyone realizes it. And if there was ever a moment to change everything, it's this one. After hearing all the bad injury news, the Falcons fanbase needed something, anything, that felt like a spark. And that spark might already be inside the building, wearing a practice squad jersey, waiting for a chance the coaches still refuse to give. Because when you look at this offense right now, the problem isn't just injuries. It's life. Energy. Creativity. Someone who plays like they're starving for a chance. And that's where the conversation shifts to 2 names fans barely get to hear: Nick Nash and Chris Blair. Both of them sitting on the practice squad. Both of them healthy. Both of them hungry. Both of them capable of giving this offense a pulse when everything else feels dead. Let's start with Nick Nash, a player who doesn't look like your typical undrafted rookie. When Nash runs into zone coverage, something interesting happens. He just gets it. He understands spacing the way veteran slot receivers do. He finds the soft spots, settles down, and gives his quarterback a clean, safe target. And when the ball comes his way, there's no panic. No flinch. No tilting his shoulders too early. He stands strong, tracks the ball like he's been doing it his whole life, and secures it with calm, confident hands. At 6 feet 3 inches, 200 pounds, he's got the frame to make those tough catches and the body control to turn upfield instantly. But yes, he's raw. His release off the line is still slow. Press coverage gives him issues. His routes aren't sharp yet. But none of that erases what he showed in the preseason. That Cowboys game wasn't just good for a rookie. It was domination. He looked like the most reliable receiver on the field, and that was enough to earn a practice squad spot. Now the question is simple: if the Falcons are running out of receivers, why not give Nash a real shot? Best case, he becomes your WR3 or WR4 of the future. Worst case, he struggles, and you send him right back to the practice squad. Nothing lost. Everything to gain. And then there's Chris Blair, a completely different type of player. Not as fast. Not as clean with his hands. But stronger, more physical, and capable of surprising defenses with chunk plays out of nowhere. When Blair gets the ball, he doesn't dance. He doesn't hesitate. He barrels forward like a runaway truck. At 6 feet 2 inches, 218 pounds, he brings a level of physical toughness the Falcons desperately need right now. A defender hits him, and he barely moves. He's not the smoothest route runner or the quickest guy on the field, but when he gets a step, he can flip a drive in one play. That's the kind of spark this offense is missing, someone who forces the energy back into the stadium. Of course, he has flaws. He has the occasional drop. He isn't a deep threat. His speed won't scare corners. But in the preseason, he looked like the best receiver on the field. The most confident. The most aggressive. The most determined. So why is he still sitting behind players who aren't producing? This is what drives Falcons fans crazy. This team needs bodies. It needs heart. It needs fire. And the answers might already be right here, waiting, ignored, unactivated. Atlanta is 3-7. The season is slipping. What is there left to lose? The Falcons are standing at a crossroads, and make no mistake, it's urgent. The offense is gasping for life, and the Saints are lurking just ahead, ready to exploit every weakness. But here's the reality nobody can ignore: this team needs playmakers. Fast. Explosive. Hungry. Nick Nash and Chris Blair aren't just names on a practice squad anymore, they're lifelines. And yet, they remain sidelined, while the starting wide receiver heading into the Saints game is Darnell Mooney. And let's be honest with ourselves. Mooney hasn't looked like the number 2 option anyone expected this year. Fans are frustrated. The plays aren't connecting. The energy isn't there. Some call it the yips, others blame lingering injuries. Maybe it's a mix of both. Whatever it is, he's not catching the football the way this team needs him to, and the clock is ticking. Meanwhile, imagine what could happen if the Falcons finally activated Nash and Blair. Even if it's just a few plays, even if it's against a struggling defense, even if it's preseason talent, it's a start. It's hope. It's energy. It's the spark that can shift the momentum of a season that's been sliding downhill far too long. Think back to the preseason. Nash showed moments of brilliance. He's already familiar with the 53-man roster. He knows the speed of the NFL. And Blair? Powerful, aggressive, ready to challenge defenders and create those rare explosive plays that this offense has been starving for all season. Because right now, the offense is limping along. With Cousins under center and no Drake London, it's like trying to sprint with a broken leg. The connection that once existed between quarterback and wideout, the rhythm that makes football beautiful, is gone. If the Falcons don't inject some talent, some energy, they're going to get crushed by the Saints, who may not be elite, but will punish any team that steps onto the field unprepared. And here's what fans really want: a football product that's watchable, competitive, and exciting. Not just for a single drive, not just for a lucky play, but consistent enough to make every Sunday feel alive again. They're craving hope, sparks of brilliance, and a team that refuses to give up, no matter how bad it looks on paper. Activating Nash or Blair isn't just about statistics. It's about sending a message to the fans, to the locker room, and to the league that Atlanta refuses to roll over. That even in the face of injuries, setbacks, and doubt, this team still has fight left in them. The clock is ticking. The Saints are coming. And the question is simple: will the Falcons finally act, or will the season slip away before anyone even sees what could have been? The answer will shape not just a game, but the future of this offense. Rise up, Falcons fans, the moment for courage and action is now.